founder of the Illuminati, Chitahuli, for Africa, and the world come to that, do you think?
It appears from what I see happening all over Africa that the Chitahuli are depopulating or destroying those countries in Africa which, left to themselves, could become the bread baskets of this continent. The Sudan is being destroyed. Angola has been obliterated. Mozambique has been destroyed. But wait, the countries as such have not been destroyed. Only their populations have been obliterated or brought to the edge of extermination. Why? What do these creatures want? I feel that the answer says they want to alter human society by wiping out certain races of humankind and leaving others alive. I think that Africa is being depopulated deliberately in order to enable the future dictators of this world to get at Africa's minerals without bothering to pay anyone for those minerals. In other words, the minerals of various countries, things which appear more important to the Chitahuli than human lives, are being cleared so that they can be, continents are being cleared, countries are being cleared of people, so that people, whoever will be in power afterwards, will be able to have access to Africa's huge oil, coal, uranium, gold and diamond deposits without having to pay any African ruler for those minerals. In other words, we are reaching a point where the minerals that come out of the ground will become the property not of small nations like Africa and the many nations that are inside there, but of the huge global government which is on the cards and which is being built now.
And is that why so much violence, both individual violence on the streets and between tribes, between groups and between countries is going on?
Yes, sir. People, it seems to me that it is the decision of the Chitahuli to accelerate the destruction of as many human lives as possible. At the same time, to leave the minerals as well as other natural resources intact for the future rulers of the world to consume. I view, say, with great unease a phenomenon which has been gaining ground in Africa in recent years. There has been planned and actually built in several parts of Africa things which are called peace parks, huge game reserves which border on certain countries. For example, the Kruger National Park in the Eastern Transvaal borders on Mozambique, and now I understand that the Kruger National Park is to be duplicated, this time in Mozambique, which is very interesting indeed, sir, in that where the new duplicate park is going to be established, it is one of the areas where, especially during the Rhodesian War, some of the heaviest, deadliest fighting and massive dispersion of tribespeople actually took place.
And there are a lot of game parks down the Rwandan border and other countries like that where people came in to cause the problems there and the genocide.
Yes, sir. It it's very strange. Somebody, I think, I don't know who, and quite frankly, I don't want to know. Because it's no use talking about an enemy you cannot throw a weapon at. I don't know who is planning this thing, but these game parks are being established at a huge price, a huge cost in human lives. These game parks are being established at the expense of the nations in whose countries the parks are. Why? Not only that, while Africans allow themselves to be manipulated by these enemies of humankind, while Africans fly at each other's throats like enraged hawks, there are specially trained men and women who are being infiltrated into the warring African countries and who continue mining Africa's minerals as if there was no war taking place. And these minerals are being taken out of these countries in huge convoys of heavy vehicles. I've seen this several times. While the war in Southwest Africa, Namibia, was being fought, there was huge smuggling of minerals such as diamonds and so on. The same is happening in Angola. The same is happening elsewhere.
The name that comes up, of course, in terms of so many environmental parks or game parks, there are United Nations agencies which speak for themselves, but there's also so-called environmental groups like the Worldwide Fund for Nature. What's your feeling about the way the environmental movement is being operated? The Worldwide Fund for Nature, of course, is headed by Prince Philip, of whom I would certainly not buy a used car, or from whom, and Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, his friend, two of the bloodlines.
Since that fund was established, African animals are being exterminated at an even greater rate, believe me. In the Eastern Transvaal, some farmers have broken down fences between their farms and have made their private game parks into one huge thing. But when you go into these game parks and you get off the vehicle and you walk a short distance by foot, you notice a very disturbing thing. One, you see no recent animal tracks anywhere around you. Two, you cannot smell animals, and yet if a game park is filled with animals anywhere in Africa, you can actually smell the animals. You can smell the giraffe, the buffalo. You can smell the large antelopes. Each one has its particular smell. But if you go to those places in the Eastern Transvaal, you don't smell animals, let alone see them. There is shooting of wild game in those supposedly protected places like there is no tomorrow. And furthermore, in some of these private game reserves, you see something that fills you with disquiet. You see airstrips carrying not small aeroplanes as one would expect, not small one-engined aeroplanes, but I have seen game reserves where there is an airstrip and a hangar which carries a large aircraft, a Dakota of the 1950s. What is a gamekeeper doing with a heavy aircraft like that?
What do you think the agenda of the Worldwide Fund for Nature is?
I think, sir, it's an exercise in cynicism, an exercise in utter hypocrisy. And it doesn't surprise me that the leader of this fraud is a man whose eyes are like those of a reptile, a man whose lips look as if they were sculptured with a cutthroat razor.
What is the answer, Credo? What do people need to do to stop this agenda becoming reality and to turn it round and create the kind of world we want to live in?
Sir, I do not have any ready-made answers to your question, but I will tell you this. Our first duty is to make the whole world, the whole of humanity, aware of the threat facing it. Such is the blind spot in our brains that when people threaten us publicly that they are going to exterminate us and our entire nation, we don't take them seriously, sir. For example, this threat to Africa is visible to everyone with a little thought, but it is so monstrous, so huge and so fearsome that our conditioned minds refuse to accept this. Now, in England, sir, there is a deadly looking animal which I once saw. That animal is really a little wizard or a witch. It is a sleek animal whose body is very flexible. The English people call it a stoat.
Stoat.
Yeah, a stoat. Now, when that animal chases a rabbit and corners it, the rabbit stops and freezes, and it looks at the stoat with totally hypnotized eyes. It is as if this animal is refusing to see the stoat, and the stoat catches it and eats it. We are reacting exactly like that. This is the way the Illuminati want us to react, to be hypnotized by their supposed power, to become